So which Nest camera should you get? Do you go with the Nest Cam Indoor, which has been around for a couple of years, or do you go with the brand new Nest Cam IQ? This one is $100 more than this one. And I guess the bottom line question that you have to ask yourself is, do people annoy you? Now, when it comes to product updates, I'm usually, well, very underwhelmed. I've been reviewing products for years now, and when a company says we've improved it, I usually take it with a grain of salt. Like the iPhone 7, it looks so different, right? Well, wrong, because what I'm showing you is an iPhone 6S. This is an iPhone 7. Now, that's not the story with the Nest Cam IQ. The upgrades in the Nest Cam IQ are quite noticeable when compared to the Nest Cam Indoor, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best smart home security camera for you. The 4K resolution and familiar face recognition are the standout features, but are they worth the extra $100? I will add that using the Nest Cam IQ is kind of like living in a video game. You gotta pan to different parts of the video, and this thing recognizes faces. Like, that's so cool in my mind anyways. From a scoring perspective, I've given the Nest Cam IQ, this one, a score of 4.6 A's out of 5, and the Nest Cam IQ gets a full 5 A's out of 5. Now, I score across dozens of different little scoring criteria, and both these products do much better than the D-Link Omna. But there is one thing to consider, is that this thing is much cheaper, and if all you're looking to do is to monitor your house, it will do the same job as both these more expensive products. At Smart Home Reviews, Monty and I base all our reviews on actual usage, which means that we'll use the products for as long as we need to before we actually write a review on it. And yes, well, Monty loves bananas, and I'm feeding him one on this video. Now, when it comes to comparisons, I'll use all the products in the same manner to ensure that I can figure out the differences between the products. And really, I do this to answer the question, how do I get the most out of my home? And whatever I discover, I'm just going to share it with you. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about the design, functionality, and compatibility of each Nest camera. After all that, I'm going to help you answer the question, which Nest camera should you get if you're looking for one? And the last thing I'll talk about is why I would be incredibly hesitant to actually get one of these products. When it comes to design, the two cameras look better than the average looking security camera. They look clean and don't stick out visually like a sore thumb. The color scheme in my house is quite light, so the Nest Cam IQ, which has a matte coating, blends into the home nicely. If size is a big deal for you, then the Nest Cam has a much smaller footprint. Both cameras can be mounted, with the Nest Cam Indoor having the option to be mounted magnetically. Now, this may seem like a neat feature, but magnetic surfaces are kind of hard to come by in my house. Nest does include a wall mounting plate for the Cam Indoor, so you can stick it in the corner room at the top if you wanted to. The Nest Cam IQ has a 1/4-inch threaded hole, which means you can mount it onto tripods, which I'm assuming is the same kind of mount that security cameras would go on, because I really don't see why you would mount something like this on a tripod. The speaker on the Nest Cam IQ is much larger than the Cam Indoor, so communicating through the unit, it's going to be much easier, much better. It's large enough that you could probably turn it into a portable speaker if you really wanted to, by playing music from your speakers through your smartphone or tablet through the Nest app. I'm going to say it again, it's something you can do, but probably shouldn't. Just because the speaker is a little bit bigger doesn't mean you should take advantage of it like that. Both products use the video sensor as a motion sensor and are quite accurate. During our testing phase, the Nest Cam Indoor automatically picked up on the door that the camera is pointed at, which was kind of neat and a little creepy. One of the things I wish that the Nest Cams allowed me to do was to customize the areas of motion detection like the D-Link Omna does in the app. You can only customize the zones if you have a Nest Aware subscription, which is basically a web add-on for these Nest cameras. If you're wondering what we think about the Nest Aware, do check out that review. Both cameras use infrared LEDs to provide 20 feet worth of night vision. You can extend this range by adding another infrared light like the Lift X Plus. When it comes to video quality, the 4K sensor of the Nest Cam IQ is amazing. Not because it provides 4 times the resolution, but because you can zoom into things, into areas where the camera thinks motion is being detected. The Nest Cam IQ also has an HDR sensor built into the camera, which is evident when comparing these two video feeds. You can definitely see part of my porch with the Cam IQ, while the Cam Indoor has that area completely blown out. When it comes to overall functionality, the Nest Cam IQ edges out the Indoor by a small margin. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is the familiar faces that comes with the Nest Cam IQ. When it comes to the app, Nest does a better job of showing you what's going on in your house than the D-Link Omna. The timeline feature is easy to use and shows you what's going on in your house at a glance. Before we move into connectivity, I will note that the Nest Cam IQ has better wireless connectivity than the Cam Indoors, but this isn't going to be noticeable for the average user. I didn't have any issues with connectivity. You can easily unplug it and plug it somewhere else if you really wanted to. I didn't have any troubles doing that. I did run into a problem with the initial setup with the Nest Cam IQ. I tried setting up several times before contacting Nest support, and they let me know that, well, the Nest Cam IQ requires Bluetooth to be turned on my iPhone. So, you know, just be warned. If you're on vacation and can't use a Wi-Fi or cellular connection on your mobile device, Nest will allow you to watch your cameras through the web. If you're an Apple Watch user, Nest does provide an Apple Watch app. As I said earlier, the standout feature for the Nest Cam IQ is the ability to recognize faces. And probably because it has a 4K sensor, I don't think this cam indoor can do that, which is kind of a kick in the nuts, I guess. And well, on top of that, it's like kick in the nuts, you still have to pay for the Nest Aware subscription in order to get the full functionality of this $400 or $300 camera. $400, depending on where you live, and you have to pay for exchange rates, like where I'm at. Familiar faces rely heavily on the 4K sensor, and it will document the images of all the people it sees, which is kind of neat. Basically, the more you show up in front of the camera, the less you'll be considered an object worth being notified about. Covering up your face with a mask will trigger the Nest Cam IQ, which is a good thing. Now, how did I figure this out? Well, I dressed up as Batman and approached my front door. So at the beginning of the review, I asked you, do you get annoyed with people? And if the answer is yes, then you should get the Nest Cam IQ, because over time, it will start remembering the faces that it sees throughout the day. And so I can pace in front of the Nest Cam IQ. You can't see behind my television. And it's not going to trigger because it recognizes my face, but I'll pace in front of the Nest Cam Indoor, which is in the same area as the IQ, and I'll get a notification for it. So, you know, it really depends on how often do you want to know people are walking around the area that you're monitoring. Now, both these systems have better notifications, or there's a bit of intelligence behind these Nest cameras, as they will slowly learn based on patterns and whatnot, I guess. With the D-Link Omna, every single time something happens, you're going to get a notification. Whereas in the Nest Cam Indoor, I set these two cameras up side by side, and I got way more notifications from the Omna because there was just no filter. It said, hey, something's going on. I got to notify Aaron. Whereas on Nest Cam Indoor, over time, there were way fewer notifications than the D-Link Omna. So, you know, that's one thing you have to take into account as well. When it comes to compatibility, both these Nest products work with IFTTT and technically are compatible. There's an asterisk blinking on the screen. Technically compatible with Google Home. Now, this asterisk is going because, well, you could connect your Nest account to Google Home, but you can't actually see any of the cameras in Google Home. So I guess Google and Nest, those engineers really need to start working a bit more together. What is that? Google owns Nest, Monty? Really? Are you sure? No, Alphabet owns Nest, which also owns Google. So I have no idea why these two things cannot work in Google Home, or don't show up in Google Home at least. Like something. Again, Google Home needs a bit more work. Now, if you're bummed out that Nest isn't directly compatible with Apple Home, here's a bit of a reprieve and a different perspective. It really doesn't matter unless you're planning to use the Nest cameras as part of an automation. I was okay having the Nest cameras set outside of my Apple Home setup because, well, I still got the notifications I needed and I wasn't running any automations off those cameras. If you really want to run automations off your Nest cameras, then you're going to have to use IFTTT or Stringify. It gets the job done, but it's just not as slick as the baked-in automations in Apple Home. So at the end of the day, which Nest camera should you get? Well, I've wrote down a couple of points here on my handy-dandy piece of paper. And here's my train of thought. You go with the Nest Cam IQ if you're worried about people in your area of interest, or you get the Nest Cam Indoor if you're only worried about detecting motion. You get the Nest Cam IQ if you're planning to monitor an area of high human traffic, like, you know, the front of the house, or you go with the Nest Cam Indoor if you're monitoring lower amounts of human traffic, like the back door. And last but not least is, well, you go with the Nest Cam IQ if you want to know who's in your house. You know, friends of friends, kids of friends, your babies, your dogs. And, well, you go with the Nest Cam Indoor again if you just want to see what's going on in your house. You don't really care who's in it, you just want to see there's people that you might recognize in the video feed. This provides just a better snapshot of what's going on because it'll tell you who's there and not there. This just tells you, well, there's something going on. So the differentiating factor between these two products, again, it's all about the people. Do people annoy you? If they do, you go with the Nest Cam IQ because slowly over time, it will not notify you that somebody that you know is walking around. So Other than that, at its base level, both these products do the same thing. Why I would be very hesitant to get these products, especially if I wasn't a reviewer, is the fact that if I was to look at a long-term usage perspective, say over 3 years, this is going to cost me $1,200. This is going to cost me $600. The D-Link Omna is going to cost me $200. That is a significant price difference. And these smart home security cameras, again, like I said like 30 seconds ago, the base functionality is the same. They will tell you what's going on in your home when you want to know what's going on in your home. Now, how did I come across those numbers? Well, if you were to get Nest Aware, so Nest Aware comes in a couple of different tiers. You've got a $10 or $10 per month tier, which is $100 per year because they give you a discount if you sign up on a yearly basis, and that gives you 10 days of pre-recorded continuous footage. For $300 a year, you get 30 days of continuous pre-recorded footage. Now, I don't know why anybody would want to scrub through 30 days worth of continuous surveillance footage, but if you're that paranoid, then there is that feature. But all that money adds up pretty quickly because over 3 years, that $300 setup is going to cost you $900 on top of this $300 camera. That's $1,200 for you to be able to monitor your home or continuously go back into time 30 days at a time or 10 days at a time with the cheaper setup. Whereas in the D-Link Omna, because, well, it doesn't come with a paid tier, everything loads onto an SD card, so it will basically record until the SD card gets full, and then it'll start deleting the oldest footage. So if anything was to happen in your home, there's a good chance you're still going to be able to find it on the D-Link Omna. Now, there's no cloud-based activation or no cloud-based apps for you to use, which is kind of a bummer. You can still remotely access the D-Link camera through your app and home setup if you set it up properly. But at the end of the day, I personally don't think I would spend $1,200 over 3 years for this product when I know that this one for $200 and then the cost of an SD card is going to do the same, which is why I say I'm very hesitant if I was a non-reviewer to actually go and get these Nest products, because without Nest Aware, they're kind of just cameras like this D-Link Omna, minus the remote control stuff. It just really sounds like a bad deal. But still, facial recognition on this thing, so cool. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comments section below. If this video was helpful to you considering getting your Nest products or whatever smart home products through my links. Nest didn't sponsor this video. D-Link didn't sponsor this video. I did everything out of my own pockets, so basically I've got almost $1,000 worth of cameras right here in my hand, and I pay for them all myself. So if you want to support me, consider getting your stuff through the links so that I can buy other stuff in the near future and do those reviews as well. That's kind of all I got. Right, buddy? Thanks for watching.